let's talk a bit wider. So, and even outside of the UK as well, let's look at the wider sort of industry and market. I mean, how do you see, what's your opinion on how the telcos are evolving with all the changes which are happening?
Yeah, I look at this in two ways. I mean, telecom is now connectivity, and we in BT, we pride ourselves to connect for good, right? And that comes with a massive responsibility, and I'm sure telecom industry as a whole now have a massive responsibility on connecting everyone.
Yeah.
There was a time that let's say internet was mainly for information. Now internet through telecom, it controls the physical environment, right? And with that comes huge responsibilities, and it's very, very different to just having a voice conversation, I mean, voice, video, data, controlling stuff, things is all coming into it.
Yeah.
So industry is changing so rapidly, and it's absolutely integral part of the new industry, which I call Industry 4.0. Industry 4.0 will not happen without telecom industry. So that's one element of it. The second element that I look at that is the complexity that is bringing with it. Right? There was a time that I was an 18-year-old switch engineer. I went for a 20-day of training, and I came back and I could do stuff. Now, you got to not only understand your domain in telecom, you also got to understand the containerized network. You got to understand how software engineering works. So the domain of telecom
is more and more complex.
More and more complex, and is moving more into tech.
Yep.
Purchase of appliances is dropping. Everything is software based, and that software needs to be stable. And so the complexity that is bringing with it is quite immense, but the users want to use a very simple service.
Yeah.
So telecom operators and telecom service providers have to basically build quite a complex service, but provide a very simple product.
Abstract all the complexity away from them.
Yeah. So that's the challenge. So let me turn this around to you as a supplier. What do you think? I mean, what your challenges are in this new complex world?
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, I could almost play back a lot of what you said. I mean, the complexity is the challenge. If I look, it's the same sort of scenario. When I started doing this, we were deploying on custom hardware. Everything was pretty basic. You had one platform. Now we're in a scenario where we've moved to a virtualized environment with lots of different platforms. We've now moved to a containerized environment with more platforms again, and we're seeing the proliferation of platforms is crazy right now. And now, of course, we see the hyperscalers coming into our space and offering platforms as well.
Right.
So the complexity is sort of getting out of control. And the issue is, how do we abstract ourselves from the complexity? How do we sort of automate it? So for us, I think automation is absolutely key.
Right.
How do we make this simple to manage? How do we, as we said earlier, how do we make it more self-healing?
Right.
And where the system will effectively look after itself. We don't have to have people constantly sort of manually changing things. And the other issue, of course, is because of the complexity, any manual change, the knock-on impact can be massive as well. So there's that. I think we've also, it's interesting when we talk about the enterprise space, the Industry 4.0 space as well, and the enterprise is wanting sort of 5G type services, low latency, advanced services, AR, VR, this type of stuff. And we see very much a demand from the enterprise to have core networks.
Right.
And so there we're looking at, how do we move to a different business model? How do we move to an as-a-service business model? Can we reduce the complexity, automate everything, and offer the core just as a service? So you do the bare minimum, and what you've got access to is a very advanced core, but you don't need to see the complexity underneath. So I think, we're moving there fast. That's a key initiative for us.
Right.
But and at the same time as we're rolling out 5G, we're now looking at 5G advanced. What's coming in 2 years' time, and so this is a constantly moving target.
Yeah. So one thing you said is quite important to me, that operational stuff. Right? For us as an operator, operating a complex network is challenging.
Yeah.
So more you guys introduce automation, self-healing stuff, which you can achieve through a number of ways.
Yeah.
It could be a simple while do statement to a proper ML AI stuff is what makes our lives easier and give our customers a better service.
Yeah, and I think it's on both our sides, because we need to reduce the complexity, for you guys operating the network for your end users, for us deploying it and maintaining it, because as the new services are coming faster and faster, there's this assumption that we will be dropping software much faster as well, and that requires a huge amount of automation. To simplify it.
Agreed.
Yeah.